video game audible through my microphone?
I can't hear your child yelling at
Good,
anything.
then that's all that matters.
Oh, let me mute so I don't invite people.
Okay, so for folks coming in, just to let you know, we're going to give people just a couple minutes to get in and get settled because we got a lot to fit and we got exactly an hour to do it. So we're going to try to move fast, but I want to get as many people in before we get started. So while people are wondering, and if you don't know me, hi, my name is Heather Aubrey Lloyd. I'm helping out on the comms committee. So it's nice to meet you if you haven't met me before. I'm sitting in the back in the admin on NERFA and trying to answer your voting related and other questions like that. So, I'm the person. Hi. If there's confusion, I'll try to find you an answer. That's basically who I am right now. I'm a volunteer. So, and it looks like, do we have anybody sitting in the waiting? We got some. I just want to make sure I don't get started too quickly before we got everybody we're going to get. Hey, Coco. Do we have all our candidates? That's a thing I need to check and make sure. Candidates, give me roll call in the meeting chat just because I don't have everything on screen at one time. I got one. I see another. I got 2, 3. All right, I see another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No audio. Can you hear me, Brian? So okay, so Charles has got thumbs up, so I am audible. So Brian Eastburn's concerned you got no audio. Awesome. Thank you guys for chiming in. All right. How many we got? And I'm waiting on one last candidate to give me roll call here. Awesome. Thanks for saying hi, people. Looking for one more. All right. So since we got a lot to fit and we have exactly an hour to do it, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to lay out the agenda of the meeting so you know exactly what we're going to hit when, exactly how long we're going to try to take in each section, and how long people get to speak and when. So the agenda for the meeting is going to go like this. The first thing we're going to do is, since you came to the meeting all like ahead of tomorrow's announcement, you get to be the first who get the dates, the location, and all the cool details about where the conference is going to be for 2024. It's actually the 30th year of NERFA, so it's a pretty cool thing. That's going to be the first thing. Figure that's going to be 5 minutes or so. The second thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you kind of a quick blast on reminders for stuff regarding voting, the ballots being out, who's eligible, what you should be looking for in your email boxes. I'm going to try to keep that 3 to 5 minutes, probably less. Then we're going to do candidate speeches. Every single candidate in alphabetical order is going to get 5 minutes apiece to speak to you about themselves, about what they want to do with the organization, all that good stuff. So they're going to get to do that. Once we've gotten through all of that, we're going to open the floor to the community. Because we're going to be tight on time, that's the time you're going to get to ask questions. 2, if anybody want to speak to the recall, anything like that, every single person, regardless of who you are, board, me, whatever, we're going to get you 2 minutes max to try to fit as many people as we can before we close the hour. Oh, sorry, I know I don't have it cranked. I'll try to get right up on the mic. So that's the agenda for how we're going to space the meeting out. So beyond that, we're going to try to move quickly, make sure we've got time at the end, and that's what to expect from this meeting. So first things first, let's talk location. Natalia, I think that's you.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out who's
Muted.
here as me. I think it might be John Platt. John Platt, are you Natalia Zipperman? Pretty fun. because I sent you my confirmation. Um, Anyway, hi everybody. Good evening. I'm Natalia Zuckerman. For those of you who don't know me, I am the conference director. Just really exciting for me. And I'm so excited to let you know that the conference will be November 20th will be that's the Wednesday of the conference through the 24th in Paris, France. Just kidding. In Portland, Maine. Beautiful, beautiful Portland, Maine. And there will be so much information in the email, but we went up there, AJ, myself, Jessica Smucker, and Ethan went up there over the holidays. And I was like, I don't need to see a Holiday Inn. I'm good. I've seen them. It's spectacular and it's brand spanking new. It has absolutely everything we could need. I think hopefully you're going to be really happy and very excited to announce community meals are back. There will be lots of information coming at you tomorrow in this beautiful drafted email by Heather. So look out for that. Portland, Maine.
Yeah, there's a couple there's some exciting news about things like refrigerators and what they're going to be willing to do for the private showcase hosts. Really, actually, some pretty awesome stuff. All right, is that all we're going to say about location for now? Give me a nod or a yes. Okay.
That's it. That's all you get. I hope you like the roll. That's it.
All right. Okay, so awesome, thank you. Real quick couple things about election and voting related stuff. In the chat, awesome, thank you, Lisa. I've got eyes on you. So in the chat, I'm going to drop something that says what email address you should be expecting your ballot from. That's been a real common question. It's going to say Northeast Regional Folk Alliance, but the invitation at mail, it comes from Election Buddy. So FAI sends through Election Buddy. So that's what you should be looking for in your email boxes. And also the date it got sent was January 8th at 12:15. So if that helps anybody kind of mine through and search, that's what you're looking for. If you go looking for that and find that you don't find that, we've been talking about tisha@folk.org, and I'll drop that in the chat at some point as well, can help you determine if you are a member. The email they're going to send it to is going to be the one that you gave to FAI, and what's going to determine if you're a NERFA voting member, because I actually had to ask this for myself, was the address you gave them when you joined FAI. So that determined what region I was in, because I asked if I could change it and, or if I had to change it. So that's some of the things I'm finding out. Another interesting thing I found out, which a lot of people, if they haven't voted before, are discovering for the first time. If you're part of a small organization, whoever did your membership, they got the email. And their vote, what they submit, will count for the number of votes the organization is given. My band is a small organization, and I believe we're given 3 votes. I'm the person who receives the email. So that's another thing people are realizing. What's really great is the people on the NERFA Talk, if you're not on NERFA Talk on Facebook, a lot of these people are sourcing these answers for each other, which is awesome. So thanks for a lot of people. I know Anne helped figure some of that out, so did Mara. Other election-related stuff, the election's going to be going on until February 8th. If you've got an issue, you got a lot of time to sort it out, and FAI has told us that they will allow people to join during the election window with voting privileges. So if you didn't get the mail or you're not a member now or any of that, you have all month to get that sorted out. So that's kind of what if 2 people who can vote disagree on who to vote for? So if it's the organization, you're kind of stuck with your leader, more of an electoral college kind of approach. But it's been that way eternally. I think a lot of us are just discovering that for the first time because we're much more invested in the vote. I'll try to answer some more of those questions, and I'll keep an eye on the chat, but I want to be real tight about giving time to all the stuff we need to give time to today. So that's some of the stuff we're coming up with as questions develop. Again, you can catch me on NERFA Talk. You can catch me in my private messages. I'm trying to be pretty responsive and go seek answers. And also thank you to also people who know the answers and go, oh, no, that's been that way, or, oh, this is who you call for that. I think what we'll do is we're gonna move on to the candidate speeches. We're gonna go in alphabetical order. If there's other election-related questions, we'll try to hit them at the end. So, in alphabetical order, just to give everybody a chance to prepare, alphabetical order would be.
I
I
texted
assume
them to
it's
you.
the
Heather,
last
if that
one.
helps.
I know. I was like, why do I have so
Yeah.
many texts? Okay. Alphabetical order would be Joel Elliott, Lisa Caston, Cheryl Prashker, Pam Robinson, Carol Ann Solabello, and Tracy Walton. So those are the 6 candidates. Everybody's going to get their 5 minutes apiece to speak. And when all of that is done, we'll open up the floor to individuals for 2 minutes apiece to get as many as we can before we have to get out of the meeting at 8 o'clock because this space is going to be used by something else. So, Joel, do you feel like you're ready? I know you're first and on the spot and all that. I want to give you a breath.
No, Sybil, I'm good. Thank you so much, Heather. Shout out, Heather. You're doing a great job. You too, Ethan. Hi, friends. I'm Joel. I joined the board in April, and it has been an absolutely lovely time thus far. My day job is operations manager for Folk Music Ontario. Many of you might have heard of that organization, but it's essentially like an FAI or a NERFA, only north of the border. We just had our big conference in October. My good friend Ethan was there, and it was a lovely time. Basically, our values up in Folk Music Ontario are exactly the same as NERFA, fostering the folk community, bringing people together, making the organization and the community as amazing and helpful and wonderful as it can be. I joined the board specifically because I wanted to learn more about what things go on down south of the border and how we can build those better connections across the border. And I've learned so much in a short amount of time. I've enjoyed both the NERFA events that I went to, both this year and last year, and truly enjoyed being a part of that process. If you've been to Folk Music Ontario before, you know that a conference is run very similarly. And in my previous job, or sorry, I guess a previous life, I worked for the Conference Board of Canada, which is just as boring as it sounds. However, it did make me very well versed in how conferences run. I thought the NERFA conference this year was spectacular, and I know that it can be better each and every year that it continues on, just like any other event. So that's my aim on being on the board, making new connections, meeting all kinds of new happy people. I see a lot of faces that I did meet at NERFA this year, and bringing people together. I certainly love it. I also play music. I've done so for 20 years, mostly for fun. I consider that a privilege because I know how hard it is from, my day-to-day role, how hard it is for true musicians to make a living at it. So I don't take that lightly, nor do I take this role lightly, either day-to-day or at the board. I'm going to not use my entire 5 minutes because there's a lot to get through. Anyway, I've truly enjoyed time so far. Good luck with your voting, and I hope to meet all of you soon, either at NERFA or at FAI or at FMO. You're welcome to come. Please do.
Thanks, Joel. Yeah, if people are curious, I got a time clock here. So Joel, 2 minutes, 18 seconds, and 55 of whatever the tiny things are. All right, so we're gonna keep on moving down the line. All right, so that was Joel Elliott. I'll say that for everybody, just so everybody knows. Remember, you got ballots in your inboxes if you want to go through bios and things of that nature. So Joel Elliott. Our second is going to be Lisa Caston. Lisa Caston, are you ready?
I am, or as
Awesome.
ready as I will be. So let's say that. Thank you for that introduction. And I echo what Joel said in terms of just the last conference. I think it was really, truly amazing. It was exciting to see, just how many folks were there and how it came together. Obviously, there's challenges, and we're looking to get better conferences. Really excited that in addition to Ethan, we have Natalia on board as well. And that was really, really great in terms of just how all that worked. I want to first say that I'm a bit shy when it comes to self-promotion, so I'll probably be reading from some prepared notes, but I really can be a bit more fun and spontaneous in person. I just also wanted to say how I've gotten to know many of you through concerts, virtual events, and through your online presence, including at NERFA groups and workshops, and by way of your musical posts. And also through the varied forums that many of you, or some of you curate, like radio programming and online platforms, some of you who have ongoing online concert series as well. In addition to my participation at Folk Alliance and NERFA conferences, I've had the pleasure of seeing many of you in concert through Connecticut Folks Board and as an active member of its booking group for the past 10 years and at other venues as well. I first learned of NERFA by way of my involvement with Connecticut Folk, a New Haven presenter of concerts and an annual folk festival and Green Expo, for those of you who may not be familiar with Connecticut Folk. I've served as an active member and as its president for 3 of those years. One of the hallmarks of my board tenure was to lead collaborative efforts to create innovative programming alongside community residents and organizations with a focus on engaging community members who were new to the folk world and who in turn then came on board and helped to further expand CT Folk's reach and programming. As an example, one of those individuals, when I wrote a grant to bring on a kind of more eclectic showcase, was a talented young singer-songwriter from South Africa who had recently relocated to New Haven and to whom CT Folk we presented our 2017 Folk Fest. She, Tabisa, now serves as CT Folk's board president. Among other community-focused events that I've led were several programs engaging area middle and high school students with interactive participation by such artists as Reggie Harris, Greg Greenway, Tabisa, Friction Farm, and the Paula Boggs Band. I actually met Paula through an online group, an anti-racist group that Folk Alliance had begun during the pandemic. And, it was really very just deepened my understanding of a lot of the dynamics and issues that we're still facing as a music community as we look to become more inclusive and accessible. Among other events, I'll just quickly say one of my favorite projects was co-producing a virtual program at the height of the pandemic, which was recorded at the historic Bearsville Theater in Woodstock. It featured Happy Tram's music and historic notes about coming of age in the Greenwich Village folk era. Excuse me. He was accompanied by Cindy Cashdollar and John Sebastian, another mainstay in Greenwich Village, someone who I had a crush on in my earlier days. And parenthetically, that's how my eclectic musical tastes were formed, by living in Manhattan and exploring haunts and enjoying jazz, rock, and folk music. I did retire from CT Folks Board in early 2023, but I've continued to help with artist booking and community engagement. I was very honored to have the main stage of the 2023 CT Folk Festival named after me, and that was in recognition of my work with CT Folk in the community. All right, I'm winding down. My work experience and skills are as a development director and seasoned grant writer, and they were put to good use to obtain grants and fundraising and doing fundraising campaigns and events for CT Folk. I know I can use these same skills to help further expand NERFA scholarship opportunities and to help to widen its reach to new venues and performers. I really do understand and appreciate that this has been a challenge facing NERFA at this moment in time, like every organization that runs these types of regional alliances. We really do need to reach out and figure out not only how to reach new venues, but actually to create them, to grow them. So I believe that my passions and experience can be put to good use by serving on the Finance, Development, and the DIET Committee, which is the Diversity, Inclusion, Equity, and Transparency Committee. Lastly, as one of 3 candidates nominated to NERFA's slate, I appreciate the confidence the board has placed in me, and I also just hope that no matter what the outcome of the elections are, that we can, all of us candidates who I know have a lot of time and talents, can contribute to NERFA and community. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, and I appreciate, I like this especially because I had I had to admit there were candidates in this that I didn't know a lot about. Lisa, you're one of the candidates I didn't know a lot about, so I was looking forward to listening to you speak. Thank you. All right, so that was Lisa Caston. Lisa Caston. The next of our candidates to speak is going to be Cheryl Prashker. Cheryl, are you ready?
I am as ready. Like Lisa, I get a little shy in front of a microphone. Test, test.
You're all
Hey,
set.
everybody. Yeah. By the way, Heather Lloyd is one of the best singer-songwriters out there. I just want to say that. Yeah.
That's not going to make me vote for you, though.
No.
Honest stuff. I appreciate you buttering me up. But
No, it's just of all the things that you said you were going to be doing. So then, anyways, for those
I
who
want the
don't know
speech.
me, yeah, for those who don't know me, and I know most of you do, but there may be some that don't know me. I'm Cheryl Prashker, and I'm excited and quite honored to be running for one of the 3 available seats on the NERFA board. I know I put this up on the Facebook thing, but for those who didn't see it and who don't know about me, I'm born and raised in Montreal, Canada. I'm a classically trained percussionist, and I moved to the States in my 20s. And while living in New York and Philadelphia, I spent many, many years, and I continue to do so, accompanying many of the singer-songwriters that you guys all know and love, like Eric Anderson and Garnet Rogers, Jonathan Edwards, our beloved Pat Victor, Zoe Mulford, Reggie Harris, and a whole bunch more. Caroline Solabello, for one. I've been touring with my own Celtic roots band, Runa. Some of you may know the band Runa for the last 15 years. And but for those who do know me, you know I'm not new to this NERFA community. I first attended at the urging of a really good friend who I believe is on this call and a fellow musician. So when she said I needed to go to NERFA and I said, I don't even know what that is, she said, you really must go. And I had explained to her that I couldn't go because I couldn't afford to go. So she took it upon herself to pay for me to go to my very first NERFA. And that was my intro to this incredible community. And I'm so very blessed. And it's just been an incredible experience ever since. I went from not even knowing what a guerrilla showcase was to then transferring over to actually getting a chance to work in the office. Sort of like part-time, full-time with founder Diane Tankel. And I helped her, first of all, she taught me everything there was to know about, this community and this conference. And she helped me, just meet a whole bunch of people. And I helped her run the conference by answering phones and emails. And, although we didn't have emails back then, actually, when I first started. I learned so much and met so many incredible people. I was then very, very, very blessed to be able to be a member of the board of directors. And then I did serve for president of the board of directors for 7 years. But I actually would like to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing for the last 6 years. I moved back to Canada in 2018. And since then, I've been the artistic director and general manager of the Goderich Celtic Roots Festival, Celtic College, and Kids Camp, which is now in its 32nd year. I've helped to grow the festival and college in attendance as well as financially. I've learned a lot about grant writing, which I've had to do a lot of, which I was doing all day today for one that is due this very Thursday, and done a lot of sponsorship growing for this festival. This includes 2 very successful virtual festivals during COVID. I've spent the last 6 years attending every board of directors meeting and have come away from that with incredible knowledge of how to be part and how to run a very successful board. I've also been responsible for the writing of all grants and much of the fundraising, as I mentioned. Being both a touring musician as well as running a festival, I think gives me the insight of the needs of both the artist and the venue. And I think that could be an incredible asset to this board. Some of the other experiences that I've had over the last bunch of years is traveling to many other conferences in Ireland, Scotland, throughout the US and Canada, which FMO is one of them. And I love my time with FMO. I've been a judge for Canadian Folk Music Awards, Showcase PEI, East Coast Music Awards, Falconridge Emerging Artist Showcase, Kerrville New Folk Competition, and during COVID, because I had nothing else to do, I started hosting my own podcast called Folk Pod. I love the energy of all who wish to take NERFA to the next level. As we are such an incredible region, I think we're very blessed. I've been blessed to have received so much from this community, and I just feel that it's time to give back. I welcome the future of folk and I just kind of want to bring a little wee bit of institutional memory along for the ride. And that's sort of what I have to offer, I feel. And I just, as I look around the room here, I see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces, and I just think we're just so blessed, and just very grateful to those that have kept the fires burning, as it were. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, that's perfect. Cheryl, there's actually stuff in there I didn't know about you. I was sitting here saying, oh, I don't know a lot about Lisa, but I was like, oh, crap, I don't know a lot about Cheryl. So yeah, and as for like whether you get my vote or not, more like you can't butter up the moderator
No.
candidates. So
The one thing I will say that I was extremely blessed, and the reason I love the fact that Joel's on the call is that working with Diane was very involved and very instrumental in having OCFF, which is what FMO used to be called, Ontario Council of Folk Festivals, involved in NERFA since day one of the NERFA conference. So now we're going back 30 years that she has brought the Canadians over and made them feel very welcome. And as a matter of fact, I believe she coined the phrase Canerfada, of which we all had pins back in the 1990s, I will say. So it's, now that I'm living back in Canada, it's just a wonderful union to see keep going that she started. So that's it.
awesome. Thanks, Cheryl. That's perfect too, because you were about 30 seconds under, and then that puts you right there.
Woo. All right.
All right. I love it. All right. So again, that's Cheryl Prashker. Cheryl Prashker is one of your candidates. We're going to move from Cheryl Prashker to the next in our alphabetical order, which is Carol Ann Solobello. Carol Ann, are you all set?
Hi, can you hear
Awesome.
me?
Can.
Awesome. Welcome to Solobello's Italian restaurant. I've been chopping and cooking while I'm listening to you all. Thank you, Heather, in particular, for being the communications queen these past few weeks. Thank you for all your efforts there. Good evening. I normally like to speak off the cuff, but I figured with 5 minutes, I probably shouldn't do that. So I hope you'll forgive me. I have prepared some remarks, since I'm sometimes better with the written word than the spoken
Carol
word.
Ann, I goofed. I
Yeah.
read the wrong list.
I thought so. I'm like, I'm not next.
No, Pam got me.
All right.
Amy
All right.
Putnam, thank
Good.
you. See, the moderator is not perfect. See, Cheryl buttered me up, and I got all fluttered, and now I can't read
I'm
the
not good with the
alphabet.
alphabet either. I'm so sorry. Jeez.
No, that's my bad. So, Carol Ann, let me put you on pause for just 1 second. I'll start you all nice and clean again. Pam Robinson, I'm so sorry about that. I read the wrong list. Pam, are you all set?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so we just heard before Carol Ann from Cheryl Prashker. We're about to hear from Pam Robinson. Carol Ann is on deck. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys, and thanks for the chat for letting me know.
Okay, hi. I see a lot of faces I know and some new ones. Thank you for letting me speak. And it's good to see everybody. My history a little bit. I've been involved behind the scenes of folk music for about 30 years. For 20 of them, I was on the board of directors of the Folk Project here in New Jersey, where I served as the membership chair, special concerts chair twice, the vice president, and also I represented the publicity team for a year there too. And while I was the special concerts chair, I was also for 4 years the director of the New Jersey Uke Fest. And lots of things that I did there, very involved, active, both at all of our events, all of our festivals. I've been active at other festivals, including Philadelphia Folk Fest, Clearwater, Apple Farm, and currently I am still active after over 25 years at the Falcon Ridge Folk Fest, where I'm currently the on-site volunteer coordinator. Wow, there's just so much. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. Because as I said, I'm usually behind the scenes. For 2 years, I worked with Ethan and Dan Gottfried on the what Ethan called the infrastructure team here at NERFA, where we prepped and organized the virtual conference, found a home for the 2022 conference, worked on planning for the 2022 conference. And while doing that, I was pushing and helping with project management with Biff Kennedy to get the On the Griddles up online, and also working with Ethan on the Spotlight video program that we had for a couple months. And I was the technical person working with all of the artists for the showcases for the conference, getting all of the working at finding judges and getting the judges all set and all of that. So busy, busy, busy with the committees. And I want to continue with that work, and I want to continue with NERFA. And I want to see us grow, both in the number of people attending our events and also the number of people doing things within our community, both all year round. There's just so much to do. And I want to reach out to DJs and get more DJs back involved, and reach out to all the venues and get them back involved. So I'm hoping we'll see how it goes. That's it.
And Pam, you got about, a minute and 20 left if you got a sort of further thing you want to add.
No, I'll turn it over to to Carol Ann.
Thank you. You just made me feel better. Pam, I'm so sorry. I read the thing too fast. Thank you for that. All right, so let's go back to my list. All right, so when last we left our Solo Bellows kitchen, all right, so you just heard from Pam Robinson. You're about to hear from Carol Ann Solobello, followed by the last of the 6 candidates, Tracy Walton. So, Carol Ann, are you very ready now?
I am ready. I'm so ready. And I'm going to start by saying Pam Robinson is the grease of the wheels behind NERFA for what, 20 years or so? So if things run at a NERFA conference, it's because Pam is there. That's why. So little shout out to my pal Pam. Yes, as I said before, I do not trust myself to speak extemporaneously under pressure. So I'd rather read what I have written, because I'm way better at writing things down. Hello, I'm Carol Ann Solobello. Some of you know me. I'm a songwriter, wife, mother, member of Folk Alliance in the NERFA region for more than 20 years. I present myself to you today as a candidate for the board of directors. Why am I here? Once upon a time, I was NERFA's first gorilla keeper. That's maybe how some of you know me, wrangling all the private showcases, which was a fun and exciting job. But after 6 conferences, I really needed a break. So I stepped aside in 2018 when Diane Tankel retired and much of the board turned over. And other than a very brief appearance to co-facilitate a songwriters workshop in 2019, I have not been back. Now, a few folks have understandably called out my absence. What could I possibly have to offer as a potential board member if I have not been to a conference in such a long time? How could I possibly know what's going on right now? Well, I'm here to tell you that a little time away from the community that nurtured me has given me a very different and much clearer point of view. Since my last NERFA, I have become a much more active member of AFM Local 1000, the Traveling Musicians Union. Shout out to my union siblings who are here. I currently serve on the Fair Trade Music Committee, where we are working actively with venues across the United States and Canada to guarantee fair pay and good, safe working conditions for all musicians, whether or not you're a member of the union. So go Local 1000. Our committee chair, the wise and wonderful John McCutcheon, often compares the music community at large to a 3-legged stool. And I think that image works for us here too at NERFA. One leg of the stool, of course, is the performers, the music makers who give our community its reason for being. The second, of course, is the venues concert presenters, and for our purposes here, I would like to include DJs, podcasters, bloggers, promoters, and other tastemakers who help bring the music to the public. The third leg of the stool, of course, is the listeners, without whom we would be very lonely. I think most of us here probably identify with more than one of those legs, and some of us might identify with all of them, especially over the course of a lifetime. And that's really why I'm here. If NERFA is a three-legged stool, it seems to me it's a little wobbly right now. I'm going to say the elephant in the room. It is no secret there is a rift in the community at present, and I know that I am far from alone in my discomfort with current leadership. Conference attendance has fallen by at least half since the pre-pandemic years, while the question of where I have been since 2018 is perfectly valid. A far more important question is, where are the 300 or 400 other people who used to attend the conference and now stay away? I know the other regional conferences have returned at or above pre-pandemic levels, but why does NERFA, mighty NERFA, remain a shadow of its former self, at least in terms of numbers? I don't have an easy answer to that, but even now, from my more distant vantage point, I can see that the conference community I love so well has contracted and become more insular, more guarded, more curated, perhaps. And I can see that a significant number of NERFA's most dedicated members now feel unwanted, alienated, and unheard. And that, my friends, is unsustainable. NERFA needs every single one of us, no matter our level of experience, area of expertise, age, economic status, race, background, gender, sexuality, language, etc., in order to thrive. Our doors should be wide open in all ways, welcoming all comers under the banner of our shared love for music, our common ethical values, and our mission to broaden our community to include everyone. We should be reaching out to form new relationships, and yes, to repair the old ones. I am a musician, and despite the fact that musicians make up the vast majority of the NERFA community, we have been woefully underrepresented on the board of directors in recent years. So I'm here because I think working musicians deserve a few more kindred voices in the room where decisions are being made. I recognize we have at least one or two songwriters on the board right now, and I would like to join them. I'm also here because I recognize that it takes more than just musicians to make the NERFA community strong. We need all three legs of the stool to be sturdy, well-connected, or we will collapse upon ourselves. And that, my friends, serves literally no one. Over more than 2 decades, NERFA has given me kinship, support, and frankly, a career. I have been enriched and empowered by both deep-rooted traditions and fresh ideas. I feel part of my responsibility as a member of the middle generation of folkies to help build bridges between the new folks coming up and those who extended their hands to me when I was a youngster. Our roots give us strength to rise, and our history powers our future. I hope I have the opportunity to serve the NERFA community as it has served me. Thank you very much for listening, friends.
All right, thank you for that. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So a quick note before we move on to our last of the candidates you're going to hear from tonight. So you just heard from Carol Ann Solabello. Before we move on to the last person of the candidates, Tracy Walton, tonight, I want to thank there's 74 people in this meeting right now, which is the biggest numbers I've seen here. The meeting is being recorded. I think a lot of people here are already thinking what I'm thinking, which is this has been a really great resource. I didn't know anything a lot about these people. It's recorded. It's going to be put up. I would encourage, if you know people who weren't here to hear it, once we get it up, they should definitely be hearing it. So, yeah, thank you for being here. So we're going to move on to the last of the candidates before we then open the floor. I think we got one last announcement that came through that forgot to get mentioned earlier. Tracy Walton, are you feeling ready? Tracy, put your volume on.
Comes.
Are you now
I'm
feeling
unmuted.
ready?
I think I am now ready.
Awesome. Thanks. Tracy Walton.
Hi, my name is Tracy Walton, and I will agree with the others. This, even for me as a performer, I've played 10,000 seaters, and this is a little, gets the nerves going a little bit to speak on a Zoom call. I'll start by saying this will be the 30th year that I've signed my tax return as musician. as my sole source of income, which is a point I'm proud of, and a point that I think is valid. I went to the Hartford Conservatory as a performance major. I have been a touring musician. I do own a recording studio. I've been a session musician. I write for Alfred Books. I've written 3 books for them. I've sat on the board of the Performance Hub, which is was a nonprofit in Torrington, Connecticut. I do host a festival in Connecticut every year called Chicken Stock. I put programming on in conjunction with Torrington Park and Rec. We do shows throughout the winter, free shows. I have a kids program that I've partnered with the Torrington, what once was the Police Athletic League, and we decided to call it the Police Activities League to bring kids in that weren't really athletic and were more into the arts. And we started doing programs for them, going into schools, doing programs with kids, songwriting programs. I think that's, most of my resume, and you can find that online, and like everyone else, they sent out the bios. I think there's this kind of election, there's this thought of a little bit of this old blood, new blood, old school, new school. I feel like I'm not sure where I fall, being that I've been to NERFA for 8 years, and I feel like I fall in both camps, and I feel like I've always fallen in all camps as a person. I thought of this earlier today, and maybe this is, I'm not sure I should go into this, but we're going to go for it because this isn't scripted. Even in high school, I mean, I was a standout athlete who happened to be in a rock band and wear a leather jacket. I was on the chess team in honors classes and was probably the biggest guy that could run really fast with a keg. So through the woods. So and for some of the older folks, we remember doing that with kegs. So that, in terms of NERFA, I think is a skill that I've always had that can help bring people together. I've always been able to go to all groups and kind of bring stuff together. And I think in NERFA right now, it feels like there's sides, and I don't really feel like there is. I feel like every one of us wants the best for this community. I feel like we're all, we want to become better musicians, to be better musicians, to be loved, to be cherished, to be honored, to be respected, all of that stuff. And I feel like, I honestly feel a bit in a unique position to kind of help that, where I'm friends with a lot of people that signed the petition. I'm friends with a lot of the new people, having been there for the last few years. I've been to Connecticut. I hosted virtual when we couldn't have a conference. I opened the studio for that. I've hosted both years in New Jersey. Moving forward, I'd love to start bringing a little bit more kids programming into NERFA and bringing younger people to NERFA. This year was really encouraging. When I got to Connecticut, I felt like the young guy. This year, I kind of felt like the old guy. And I think that's a good thing that our demographic seems to be going down. I'd also like to bring more presenters. This year, I was instrumental in talking. Ian Campbell is a good friend of mine from Black Bear for going. I know I just talked to him. He booked Cricket Blue. He's talking to other people that showcase that he found that he was really excited about. We need more of that. We need the DJs back. We need all of that. And I'm excited to be part of that. I really think I can help in that respect. I'm excited for NERFA. I just realized November 20th is the start of the new term, in Maine, and November 20th is my wife's birthday. So I'm going to have to talk about this with her, but I'm excited for that. And I hope to serve all you on the board. That is my timer.
Thanks, Tracy. I appreciate you set your own timer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I started everybody once they actually started talking.
Gotcha. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, that's Tracy Walton. Tracy is the last of your 6 candidates running for the board. Thank you all so much for preparing and being ready for this. It is terrifying to speak in front of this many people this way. All right, so that we can move quickly because we have to be out of this Zoom space at 8. We're going to do one quick announcement, and then we'll move into a designated period where people can ask questions, speak to the recall, 2 minutes max per person so we can fit as many as we can before we have to get out at 8. So first order of business, what was the issue that we missed earlier?
I believe Natalia was going to talk about the first of the keynote speakers confirmed for this year.
And I'm going to start a clock on everybody.
That was my attempt at trying to get her to be the announcer because she was pretty instrumental.
Do it quick because I want to make sure we...
All right. Well, I don't know if she's not jumping in. What I will say, it's actually the first artist mentioned by Cheryl Prashker that she played with. Garnet Rogers is going to be one of our 2 keynote speakers this year. We're really happy to have him. And the fact that we're going to be as close to Natalia being readmitted to the room, I guess she got hit with a power outage. We're really happy to have him as someone that's been part of the community for extremely long time, and keep your eyes out for keynote speaker number 2. It'll be announced shortly.
There might be a lot of F-bombs with his keynote. Just be prepared.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
right,
Just while we're
so-
talking about keynotes, what I'll also say really quickly is I've just dropped a link at 8 p.m. Chris Matthews' keynote from this year will go live on our YouTube channel for anyone that wants to see that. It was a pretty extraordinary speech.
Spectacular. I mean, people were on their feet, so that's awesome. All right. So I'm going to run a real tight 2-minute clock on everybody. If you want to get recognized, Mara's way of doing it is one of the best ways. Give me a little hand thing in the corner. That makes sure I'll be able to see you. All right, Mara, go ahead. You get your 2 minutes.
Terrific. Thank you. I just want to bring up 2 points of fact, things that were said in the community meeting by Justin. He said, no one has put them forward for the board in over 8 years. I just want to bring a point of fact that Coco Wildy put herself before the board and was appointed in the fall of 2020. And there's a gentleman that's here in this room. His name is Greg Torrington. He did put himself before the board in October and was given a very lovely letter letting him know that he was not accepted. That's this year. The second thing I'd like to bring up that's a point of fact from the conference meeting was Justin said, and I quote, this entire time you have been attacking me and my executive director. As someone who was an executive director whose board did not protect them, I will not let that happen. And I want to just clarify that his previous employer protected him in writing to the membership on several occasions when he made public written statements to the membership that were discussing the dismissal of volunteers. And the organization has only said positive things about him regarding his separation of the organization. They have not said a negative word. And I want to bring that up as a point of fact. So those are the 2 things that I would like to bring up. And I do want to clarify that when the gentleman was refused this year, it was not mentioned to him, although we all know that one can petition one's way in. It was not mentioned to him that he could petition his way in, but that he should consider potentially for 2025. So the language was not said you can petition your way in. I'm just making that a point of clarification. I'm not making any judgment about it. I'm just letting you know. That's all I'd like to say to clarify things that were said in the community meeting at NERFA. And I also want to mention that 13 minutes of Justin's speech where he said some of these things has been cut from the community meeting that's up on YouTube that we watched live.
All right,
But
so
it
that's
is
the
there
2.
in someone else's. That's it.
All right.
Next.
Are you wanting to, does anybody want to respond to that? Again, I'm going to hold everybody to 2 minutes no matter what.
Sure. I can't respond to all of it because I can't speak to Justin's relationship
2
with
minutes also too short, too.
Philadelphia Folk Festival. But specifically regarding the first point, the last person to petition their way onto the board was in 2016. No one has petitioned their way onto the board since 2016. And I believe that was me. If not, it was 2015 is one of those two. But that has not been done. People have put themselves forward. As a matter of fact, a good number of people on our board now put themselves forward to be there. It is a multiple step process. It's the petitioning portion that hasn't happened since 2016.
Well, he just said,
And
just
and
said,
this is
did
where
not
I'm
put themselves forward. That's all.
Mhm.
That was the exact wording. They did not put themselves forward. There have been people who have put themselves forward. That's all he said. Thank you.
okay. As for I know the video question came up again, and you got 1 minute.
Really quickly, the video has not been edited. There was bad connection, and a good amount of the connection of the official video was cut out, as Mara, you and I have talked about. Unfortunately, given the technology that we used, a number of the programming from this year, from a streaming perspective, was not completed. That being said, Andrew Dunn made it clear that he was taking the video. We supported him. We thanked him afterwards, and we're very happy that it's there. The fact is, our community meeting has always been in person in the history of the organization, and that's something we really, frankly, need to change. And we've actually talked to FAI about a change in the bylaws, because right now it says it has to happen at the conference, and would like to do what our friends at FMO and a number of the other regions have done, which is move the AGM meeting to be at a time not in a place, so we have to contend with virtual and in person. So that would be a goal moving forward, would be to separate those two things from being in the same place.
All right.
That
I'm
being
gonna
said,
pause.
as people, sorry.
That's okay. So let me, so here's what I'm going to try to do again. We're real tight. This is not the last community meeting before the election period is over. Is that a correct statement? There's one other community meeting we would have. Okay, so remember, this is not it. I want to favor people who haven't gotten to speak yet. So if you're candidate, you've gotten to talk, I'll try to get to you, but I'm going to go to the first person who had a question. Jenny's thing about what were these people before the board. Ethan, you said you knew how to answer that.
Oh, I'm assuming that was the question about the people that put their names
Ignore that.
forward.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
I
Jenny. I
figured it out.
appreciate that. The next person after Jenny that wasn't a candidate.
And I just had one quick question and not a 2-minute thing. That's all.
All right, I'm making sure I've got anybody who's Michael. I'm going to favor Michael because he hasn't gotten to talk yet. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael Kornfeld, a past longtime board member and past president of NERFA. One of the things that's stipulated in our bylaws as a requirement for anyone serving on the board is that they must be a fully dues paid up member of Folk Alliance International. I regret that it doesn't appear like our current board president, Justin Nordell, is on the call right now, but it has come to my attention, and most of you know this, he was a member, not an individual member, he was a member as the primary representative of the Philadelphia Folk Song Society for a number of years. And that is perfectly fine. We are an organization of organizational members as well as individual members. What's not fine is that he left the Philadelphia Folk Song Society's employ in February of last year. The Philadelphia Folk Song Society's own membership in Folk Alliance International lapsed in May, early May. And it is my understanding from Folk Alliance's website that he himself joined as an individual member early last month. This gives me major concern because it appears like that from at least early May to early December, you had not only a board member, but a president of the board of NERFA who was not legally able to hold that role. And that brings into question any actions and any contracts entered into by NERFA during that time period, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. I'm getting multiple messages pinged at me that says that there's potentially an inaccuracy there. Cheryl is going to give the floor to make sure more people can talk. Ethan, can you be brief about whatever needs to be addressed with that so I can move on to the next person?
Very brief. Folk Alliance already confirmed Justin was a member. He was purposefully not putting his information public because he's been getting many threats and many negative things sent his way. Upon being pointed out by the petitioners that he wasn't a member, he had it flipped so it was public. That is what you saw, Michael, and you can talk to Jen Rowe or any of the people on the staff and they will confirm it. So I appreciate you're concerned, but in this case it is not, it's not correct. He
I
is a
don't
member
think you
yet.
can-
Unfortunately, I
don't
don't have
think you
faith
can
in
hide.
them either.
You can't hide
Hmm?
your membership on Folk Alliance.
You can't.
Yes, you
He
can.
showed up in the new member scroll that only new members show up in.
He did.
Anyone
Yep.
put over,
Thank
anyone
you.
put over
Only
what
new
we've been
members
told
show
by
up where
FAI.
we re-upped.
And I was on the
Mm,
FAI board, and I have reason not to have faith in them now either.
Okay, so you can choose not to trust that organization, but they have confirmed to the people that have raised it.
They've
Um,
confirmed a number of
and
things
that's
in the
up to you.
past that weren't true also.
Okay.
All right. And again, I'm going to move through people quickly. It's not the only meeting before the end of the election, and it's not like these people don't exist at other times. We want to just try and get as much as possible. Okay. I'm trying to scroll back. Thanks, Cheryl, for making some room. Carol Ann, what's the difference between petitioning and self-nominating? Is that a quick thing we can answer?
Sure. Sorry. So really quickly, the process of running for the board, there is a period where a social media post is made saying people interested can let themselves be known to the board. Then by our bylaws, there is a nomination committee that goes through people that put themselves forward or people that have basically addressed the board. And the board then is, and our bylaws are unique, is allowed to only put forward the number of people for the board as there are seats open. At which point, if someone would like to be added to that, that is the petitioning process.
All right, I probably have time for two people if they take their full time. I'm going to go in order in the chat. Sarah Murdoch first, Robin Greenstein after. Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'll be really quick.
You're fine.
I just want to say that I first met Justin when he worked for PFS. I've been to NERFA twice, the first time in 2017, and then I came back in 2022 and was actually a volunteer. Because Justin reached out to me and asked me to volunteer, I've always found him to be very kind, and he's been very welcoming to me as I've tried to transition from being a singer-songwriter in New York City to being in the Philadelphia area. So I just felt that it was important to relay that he has been very kind and welcoming and has opened his hand to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being brief. All right, let me see if I can. All right, Robin. Robin's got a question. Says, is it true that Justin, as executive director, did not file the necessary nonprofit tax forms for NERFA? This one's got a long answer, so I'm going to open it. We might lose time, so everybody also, thank you for being here. Let's see what we can fit. Do we have somebody who wants to answer there? I mean, I can sort of say, go ahead, Ethan. Sorry, I'm trying to read too many things.
Yeah, I can't speak to the entirety of it as it is a board matter. I don't know if there's any member of the board.
Michael Kornfeld can if he wants to, because he was president at the time.
In 2019, we had major issues on the board in getting Justin as our treasurer at the time.
Oh, and Robin's making Robin says, sorry, I meant president. So that may complicate the answer. Robin says, is it true that Justin as president? Sorry, I see what you're saying. Okay, sorry, Michael, go ahead.
Okay, so in 2019, the board has issued a statement in the response to the petitioners in which they went back to 2020 and said that all required financial documents have been filed with FAI, and that the 990 form that we're supposed to file each year, tax form that we're supposed to file each year, was filed from 2020. Conveniently, they neglected 2019 because Justin was very late in doing that in 2019. We came extremely close to losing our nonprofit status through the group exemption program of Folk Alliance International. I know that firsthand because as president, I was also serving as an elected member of the Folk Alliance board at that time, was called in at a Folk Alliance board meeting where that issue actually came up, that we were the only region that had not properly filed all the documents that we had to maintain our status as part of their group exemption program, even though I had filed early all the non-financial documents. We were waiting Justin to file. He kept assuring those of us on the board that he was doing it, and it didn't get done till much, much later than it should have been.
All right. And unfortunately, that's where we're going to have to wrap it up. I got a quick question that was saying, why did the meeting have to be so rushed? There's something else that's going to be using the space tonight. First things first, before we get knocked out, it's not the only community meeting before the vote is done. So if you feel like you didn't get a chance to weigh in, there's another one. Also, in the comments, another one of the board members is saying, if you have further questions, you can contact Tara. So if you didn't get it answered, you've got some time to get it answered there. There's also a document that the board has issued that is their response to some of this stuff. Love it, hate it, or not, determine its accuracy for yourself. It's what they've given you. So yeah, apologies for the rushed nature of this. We will have a much more broad, not have to fit a bunch of candidate stuff, community meeting, that we can spend some time in. Is there anything I missed or we gotta fit in before we lose the space? Dan, real quick, because we're gonna lose it.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to clarify a couple of things. In 2019, we did end up filing. We thought we did file on time because we'd requested an extension with the IRS. The extension turned out not to have been received by the IRS. Keep in mind, this was in the midst of the pandemic, so we were never able to discover what became of that. But that issue has been resolved, and we actually did file our returns on the time we thought was the time frame that year. I completed it. It is true that Justin was having a difficult time getting it done. I think it's important to have some perspective on that, however, because some of the books in that year were being kept by Diane Tankel, and some of the books were being kept by Courtney Rodland, who is our conference director, and some of the books were being kept by Justin. It made it extremely difficult to pull all the information together. I know because I ultimately did it. And I will say, there have been a lot of criticisms of Justin, on the basis of that particular incident and what happened with that. And I think that as a community, I would urge us to be more tolerant of each other. People frequently step forward in situations where they're on nonprofit boards because there's no one else who's willing to do it. And that, in fact, is what Justin did when he became treasurer of NERFA. And he did the best he could. And he's done an outstanding job for us as president. So I just wanted to say that.
All right, I'm going to cut you there. All right, so thank you guys for everything. Again, all things need not end when the meeting ends. Your people who are running for the board, a lot of them are very happy to hear from you. So if you have questions for them, ask them. If you have questions that you need to ask of the current board, Tara Shannon is throwing her email out there. There are documents of every kind available from all kinds of people who are very interested in this election. The one thing I'll say is it's really nice to see so many people interested in it. I think that's going to be the benefit of everybody. So thank you guys so much. I hope we see you again soon. Stay in touch. Keep up with your questions with us and look for those ballots in your email boxes. Okay? Thanks, everybody. And Ethan, do we have a date on the next meeting?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Tuesday, 2 weeks from now.
All right, Tuesday, 2 weeks from now, folks.
See y'all
Awesome.
there.
Thank you all so much.